Hello from me, Lazarus. Welcome to the new lessons in the Creating a Website from Scratch course. They're actually from that part of the book that's not available in its entirety, meaning it's not available on the site. Right now we're on the topic of types of layout designs. And we've come to a very interesting topic. We're starting now. Responsive images. The third component of modern responsive design is responsive images. For an image to be adaptive, we need to have the following. Not set in the HTML file dimensions, width and height of the image. To set its dimensions in percentages, and there are two main ways here. The first is to set the width to 100% and the height to auto. Let's look at the main part of the HTML code. Here we have a background, we have our responsive image. We use this image, for example, in this case we have a title and an image. The image is 700 by 300 pixels. We already used it for an example in a previous point in the chapter. Without styles, in the browser we will see the following. Let's add the following code to the style tag that we mentioned. Height 100% and width auto. And you see what happens, our image takes up all the space in the container. Except for some padding added by the browser, of course. We haven't removed the indents here. If we don't want the image to take up most of its own size, because it will expand as much as its parent block allows, then a slightly different technique is used. The maximum width is set to 100% and the height is set to auto. That is, we have it at 100%. Now in this case the image will simply take its natural dimensions, and it will look like this. Here it is on a mobile phone, it will look like this. And this is on a Samsung Galaxy, seen through the developer tools in the Opera browser. These are the two easiest standard ways to specify responsive images that have been used for a long time in CSS. In addition to using percentages, there are other more modern ways, such as using the property of the img tag object fit. This property is used to specify how an IMG or video will need to be resized to fit within its container. Here is our example with object fit. We have reduced the dimensions by half, and here is what we will see in the browser. The object fit property can take one of the following values. The default is fill, resizes so that it fills its container, but without preserving its aspect ratio. Strange, but this is the default option. And contain, this is the most frequently used value. The image retains its aspect ratio and fills the specified dimension, but is resized to fit into the specified dimension. Cover is the next value, which is also sometimes used. This is when the image retains its aspect ratio, fills the given dimension, but will be cropped so that it can fit in its container. Here it's a little more special, but it's rarely used. I won't go into that. The fourth way is by using the new units in CSS3, related to the visible area of the screen, viewport. Here are these 4 units of measurement, using these two mainly for height. Viewport height, 1 VH is 1/100th of the height. Let's just say it looks like a percentage, right? Approximately 1% of the height. And this is the viewport width, 1 VW is 1% of the width, but not of the parent block, but of the screen, of the visible area. This is the difference in percentages, that here is as much as the width or height of the screen, of the viewable area. Vmin and Vmax are a little harder to understand units. 1/100th of the smallest and the largest height. We're going to show the use of the first 2 units, because as I said, they're similar to percentages, we can make an analogy with m or rem. But I already said that they are not calculated as percentages of the parent element. Now we will look at the same example as the first one with percentages, but instead of 100% we will set a value of 70 VW and we will center the image using the usual methods, so we will set display block and margin, 0, auto to center it, and here's what we'll see in the browser. Here's how it'll look on a mobile phone. Like this. The next way is through combined use of the picture and img tags, including the scrset attribute, which serves to indicate the address of the different images that we can use. The idea here is to use 3 images of different sizes, one each for mobile phones, tablets, and desktop computers. The point of this is to not waste valuable time and traffic on loading a large image on mobile devices, and to use the same image, but in a smaller size. And for a tablet, for example of medium size. That is, we need to make the same image in 3 versions, 3 sizes. One for computers, tablets, and mobile phones. This can be done easily with any graphics program. I've prepared 3 images here with 3 different sizes and I've labeled them, IMG1, IMG2, IMG3. The code in the part is not particularly important, in the head part. We're just going to look at the body part. We're not going to pay as much attention to the head part. Here's what we have now. You can see how the 3 options are specified. And in the browser, for example, on tablets we will see, let's say the following, this is the intermediate option. And, this is how it will look on a mobile phone. Here it's basically the same as in the Medina requests, but the image doesn't change adaptively, that is, it's not flexible, it just uses 3 different images. That's it in short on this interesting topic and on this lesson. Best regards.